Today on Flavors and Knowledge, food rationing during the Second World War. During World War II, food rationing in the United States reshaped daily life on the home front in profound and lasting ways. After the U.S. entered the war in December 1941, the government moved quickly to control scarce resources so that troops overseas and allied nations could be supplied. The Office of Price Administration, OPA, introduced a system of ration books and stamps beginning in the spring of 1942. Every American, adults and children alike, received ration books. To buy restricted items, shoppers needed both money and the correct stamps or points. The system was designed to prevent hoarding, limit price gouging, and ensure more equitable distribution of limited goods. Sugar was the first food rationed, starting in May 1942, and it remained restricted until June 1947, well after the war ended. Each person was allotted roughly half a pound per week, about 26 pounds per year, roughly half of pre-war consumption. Coffee followed in November 1942. In March 1943, meats, cheese, fats, and oils, including butter and shortening, canned fish, and canned milk were added. Processed and canned foods were controlled through a point system. Blue points for canned and dried goods, red points for meat, fish, and dairy. Point values shifted with supply, turning grocery shopping into a careful calculation. These restrictions hit home baking especially hard. Sugar and fats were essential to cookies, cakes, and pies. Cooks adapted with ingenuity. Honey, molasses, maple syrup, and corn syrup replaced part or all of the sugar in many recipes. Shortening or margarine often stood in for butter because they required fewer ration points. Some wartime cookie recipes used rendered bacon fat or chicken fat. Nestlé and other companies promoted adapted versions of popular treats, including the relatively new Toll House chocolate chip cookie. Home bakers still found ways to make versions of the cookies, sometimes sending them to soldiers as morale boosters. Chocolate itself was prioritized for the military. Hershey produced dense, heat-resistant, field ration D bars designed more for emergency calories than pleasure, while later tropical chocolate bars improved flavor for troops in the Pacific. Beyond individual recipes, rationing changed what Americans ate and how they thought about food. Victory gardens sprang up in backyards, vacant lots, and public parks. By 1943, an estimated 20 million gardens produced roughly 40% of the nation's fresh vegetables. Home canning surged. Macaroni and cheese became a staple because it was filling, required few points, and used little meat. Meatless days and wheatless, or porkless, meals appeared on restaurant menus and in household planning. Propaganda posters urged citizens to use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. The system was imperfect. Announcements of upcoming rationing often triggered buying rushes and temporary shortages. Black markets in meat, sugar, gasoline, and tires flourished in some places. Wealthier households sometimes found ways around limits more easily than poorer ones, though the bottom third of earners actually increased their meat consumption slightly under the more equalized wartime distribution. Women, already managing households while many men were away, shouldered much of the extra labor of planning meals around stamps, points, and substitutions. For the military, chocolate and other concentrated foods became important morale and energy sources. On the home front, the restrictions fostered a culture of thrift, experimentation, and shared sacrifice that lasted beyond 1945. When rationing finally ended, many of the habits, greater use of alternative sweeteners, interest in home gardening, and a practical approach to ingredients lingered. Commercial products that had adapted during the war, including packaged chocolate morsels and convenient mixes, continued to grow in popularity. In the specific case of the chocolate chip cookie, wartime constraints tested its newfound fame just a few years after Ruth Wakefield's recipe spread. Yet the cookie endured, adapted, and even gained symbolic value as a small, familiar comfort that could still be shared across the distance between home kitchens and distant battlefronts. Rationing did not stop Americans from baking. It simply forced them to bake differently, leaving a quieter but lasting mark on the nation's food culture. I hope you found this episode to your liking. We'll reconnect on the next round. The content for this episode has been written by Chef Walter Potenza and produced by SIMVAL Media, USA.